Yo, what's up? What's happening? It's your boy Rocket Weed here. Like, share, subscribe on your way in. Alright, so you should have saw the title, but if you didn't, this is What's the Dirt. This is Family Matters. This is my first What the Dirt. I didn't do any of these. It's just basically the video too long. Like, I'm gonna do this one in parts on top of it, but the video just too long, 3 hours, and you don't see me do that. But you should be watching this. This is probably some sort of premiere or something. So just sit back. Get your popcorn. We're gonna go into this. Y'all know what side I'm on. I pick a side and I'm staying there. So y'all already know I'm pretty hype about this. We're gonna see, what's really going on. So yeah, like I said, get your popcorn. Let's get it started.
All right, guys, so once again, one at a time, if you haven't been paying attention, I'm breaking down these records in the order that they were released, which means we're now at Family Matters for Drake. And before I even get started, you guys do realize that it is very possible to be a fan of two artists at the same time, right? This is indeed possible. And I fully understand that I'm not getting any popularity points for giving Drake any sort of compliments for this record. I know for a fact that if I approached this breakdown in a way where I completely all over it, I'd get way better feedback from the audience, but I'd also be lying because Drake does indeed make some great points on this record. And I also truly believe...
I be forgetting I got that juice to do that. Nah, that's real. He could have just been like a complete Kendrick person, so that's cool.
Drake does indeed make some great points on this record. And I also truly believe that as the years go by, this breakdown will be appreciated and respected. Now, before we even look at Family Matters, we need to look at what Drake was doing on social media leading up to the track, as he posted several things online. First, Drake posted a photo of his son Adonis looking into a mirror with the caption, "Mirror Time Crody," and this in itself has a couple meanings. First off, Drake is directly responding to Kendrick's shots on Euphoria, where he mocked Toronto's slang.
Don't speak on the family, Crody. You can get deep in the family, Crody.
Secondly, Kendrick has mentioned a mirror in several songs throughout his career.
Behind the mirror, I know what you're scared of. The feeling, emotions inferior. Sometimes I look in the mirror and ask myself, and every day that glass mirror get tougher to watch.
However, the more obvious reason for Drake's reference here was with respect to a track on Mr. Morale called Mirror, and this was the outro of the album where he touches on things like self-reflection and internal growth.
Not about to try who's wrong. Evolve the only thing known.
We also got an Instagram post from Kendrick's fiance Whitney where she says, "Sometimes the mirror is a harsh critic. Shit can get real ugly. I'm proud of the work we've done individually and as a family. Kendrick Lamar, thank you for your transparency. Healing can begin." So Drake is telling Kendrick, it's mirror time. It's time for some reflecting again. And next, Drake would post a video from the movie The Equalizer starring Denzel Washington.
"I'm going to kill each and every one of you. And the only disappointment in it for me is that I only get to do it once."
And it was just a couple hours later where Drake would post a photo of some caution tape, metaphorically warning everyone about the drop. And then finally he posted a doctored version of the cartoon Ren and Stimpy, depicting Stimpy as an owl looking at a red button. And as you guys know, Drake has mentioned this red button on many tracks before.
If I press this red button, dog, everybody heaven gated. Press this red button, dog, and everything forever changes.
Next, we need to take a look at the track that got entirely overlooked as it was posted with Family Matters, but only on Drake's Instagram account. And for those that don't know what I'm talking about the Buried Alive Part 2 track.
Oh, yeah.
Now, if you didn't watch my 616...
Nah, see, that's what I'm saying. Now, listen. That's a reason I was saying that he was winning at that time. That was a dead-ass reason. Because when I heard that, I was like, yo, he is... Like, y'all forget, Kendrick fans forgot that he was on this song, and that was a reason that, you know what I mean, he kind of popped off a little faster. Not gonna say he wasn't gonna pop off, but he popped off a little faster. Get a little Drake shout out, Drake be stimulating people's careers or whatever. But that was hilarious though, because he did the voice and all that. If you don't know, go check out the Buried Alive interlude. Kendrick does his thing, but it is like he's doing this. I was in a pine box. Pain back, like he's doing this weird voice thing. But it's funny when Drake did it. It was hilarious. It was hilarious. I swear it was.
Breakdown, definitely check that out because that's also a theme in that record. On part 2, Drake cleverly mocks Kendrick's original concept.
If you was in a pine box, I would surely break the lock.
In a pine box, I would shovel dirt on top.
And just a little backstory on the original Buried Alive track because this is important. The last 3 bars of the song was written from Drake's perspective, and this was something that Kendrick revealed in a 2011 XXL interview. And again, I dove way deeper into why Kendrick wrote this from Drake's perspective in the 616 breakdown. So Drake is really taking a chance to mock Kendrick with this Buried Alive Part 2 track, and this was supposed to be like a cherry on top for Family Matters, but it definitely did not work out that way, as Drake would eventually delete this.
If you was in a pine box, I would still be in my spot.
Drake starts off the mocking by insinuating that even if Kendrick was dead, which is unfortunately when people are truly celebrated, that Drake would still be ahead of him. It's a story as old as time, right? Nipsey, Dolph, Jim Morrison, Kurt Cobain. All these guys get immortalized after they pass away.
Yeah.
Looking in the mirror, still embarrassed. Stop talking how you don't spare us.
Drake states that Kendrick is still insecure about his position in hip-hop, and even 13 years later, Drake is still big bro. It's exactly how it was on the original Buried Alive track. And this is where he's rebuttaling Kendrick's claims about sparing him on Euphoria.
I can double down on that line, but spare you this time. That's random acts of kindness.
And we'd soon learn that Kendrick would indeed double down because we got Meet the Grams and then we got Not Like Us.
React like an infant whenever I mention. It's like you need tension, I always get attention.
And if you're not familiar with the original Buried Alive track, Drake really is matching this stylistically pretty well bang on. So Drake plays a pretty good angle here, as there are many examples of Kendrick using conflict to his advantage. For example, the Control verse was amazing, but let's be real, had he not name dropped all those rappers, it would have been totally forgettable. No, bro, he was shaking up the game. No, he did that for attention. Kendrick Lamar did Control to get attention. That's facts. Then we've got the BET freestyle where he dissed Drake and then denied doing it after. And while he does do his thing in that cypher, without this element, it wouldn't have caused much buzz. That was the only reason why the cypher made headlines, and he's done similar shock value things like the Heart Part 4, and now again, he did it on the Like That record. And let's not sugarcoat it, these were massive moments for Kendrick. And J. Cole said the exact same thing.
Well, I got here off of bars, not no controversy.
So both Drake and J. Cole feel the exact same way.
You always say how you want to bury me alive. Jealousy disguised as your motherfucking pride.
So coming off the last line about seeking attention, Drake appears to reference Kendrick's shots on Control, where he essentially said that he was trying to get Drake and all the other rappers out of here and more or less bury them.
But I'm trying to murder you, trying to make sure your core fans never heard of you.
In the second line, Drake claims that Kendrick was always jealous of his success, and I personally believe that this was true at one point, as we have Kendrick's own words to support this.
Man, my girl split the bucket KFC. She listening to Drake, and all I can say, damn, these that much better than me, baby.
So, I mean, this was 15 years ago, in 2009. Whitney is listening to Drake. He sounds pretty jealous to me. And some might argue that this isn't jealousy and that it's really a genuine dislike for how Drake represents a part of hip-hop that Kendrick doesn't respect. But if this were true, then why collaborate with Drake in the first place? If you were really against what Drake was doing musically or what that stood for, and you're this real dude, then why work with Drake in the first place? Because that would be fake, right?
Oh, he's spitting. Oh my gosh, he's spitting. He's spitting. This is what I've been saying. This man be lying. Yo, how you gonna be dissing Drake and he don't represent all this, but then do a song with Future who raps about drugs and say I don't do drugs. So like how it just don't match. It never matched for me. I like what's the dirt dude? Salute. You kind of spot on with some of this. You spot on, man. I like that.
Drake had everything that Kendrick ever wanted, and even on the original Buried Alive track, he talks about how he felt when he found out that Drake was the same age as him, but was way more successful.
He said that he was the same age as myself, and it didn't help because it made me even more rude and impatient. So
I don't know what else you want to call this, but jealousy and envy, because that is what this is.
I took you on your first tour with us trying to catch a vibe. I was headline, you was standing on the side. Brought you and that other hoe along for the ride.
So again, Drake delivers nothing but facts here. Even on the original Buried Alive track, Kendrick seemed extremely excited about meeting Drake, almost like he was finally gonna get his moment because of it.
felt like the initiation, a reality living in the matrix.
So I mean, even then he's saying meeting Drake was like an initiation, like he's finally getting his moment. Shit's finally gonna cut through. Wow, Drake, like, you know, that's what this is. And this turned out to be 100% true, and Drake is quick to bring this up because he really did take Kendrick and A$AP Rocky on their first big tour. Drake was indeed headlining while these guys were on the sidelines, and even Kendrick himself said he was not used to these big crowds and that he was overwhelmed with the look that Drake just gave him.
Nigga Drake holding us down, you know what I mean, pulling us out there to see this motherfucking crowd that we ain't seen before, me and A$AP. The transition of me doing the 2,000 venues I've been doing packed in is a little sketchy for me doing this 10,000. I gotta really work some motherfucking magic.
So I do think it's safe to say that Kendrick once held a degree of envy towards Drake, and this isn't the first time that Drake held this tour over his head, as he's brought it up multiple times now. First, it was 2013 on the remix with Future.
Inside the hood like I'm from there, so you know it's all good when I come there. I hear you talk about your city like you run there. Then I brought my tour to your city, you my son there.
Then he mentioned it again on 4 p.m. in Calabasas.
When he told me take an R&B on the road, and I told him no and drew for Kendrick and Rocky.
And I believe that he was referring to this again on a more recent track, Red Button.
It's got you to the spot, and then you separated. Reasons for it speculated.
I don't think anyone could deny the shine that Drake gave these guys, and I do believe Drake wanted them to win. Yeah. Now, to be fair, which I am, Kendrick did go on a tour in 2010 with Tech Nine called The Independent Grind before ever meeting Drake. The venues were definitely a lot smaller, and his name wasn't even featured on the flyers, but he did get some exposure from this tour. I'm sure those shows were instrumental in helping him with his stage performance and all kinds of shit, right? There's also the fact that even before the Buried Alive feature on Drake's album, Kendrick had already dropped Section 80, which gave him a lot of buzz in itself and prompted West Coast legends to hand him the torch on stage.
You got the torch, you better run with it.
So this whole hand...
Damn, I didn't know he did that off Section 80. I thought that was like after Damn or something. Section 80 he did that? That's major. I wasn't listening to Kendrick back then, Section 80. I know everything. I think that's the inception of the craze. Like, everybody go crazy because of that particular album. Just like, if you're there from the beginning, I think you stick around. I just wasn't there from the beginning. I might go back and, you know what I mean, learn something, but I just wasn't there.
Ending of the torch thing was in August of 2011. That's 3 months before the Buried Alive track came out. At the end of the day, yes, Drake gave Kendrick a massive boost, but to say that Drake made Kendrick who he is would be insane. Yeah. Kendrick Lamar is who he is as an artist because he's Kendrick Lamar. Let's just make that clear. I believe Cream rises to the top, like even without TDE, even without Drake, whoever. I still think Kendrick would have found a way.
First time people lined up for your ass. Now you saying two pussy boys getting out of line.
Drake rebuttals Kendrick's comments on Euphoria about how J. Cole and Drake were giving each other props while on stage. So I feel Drake's pretty much saying, you know, me and Cole are giving each other props on stage, and that bothers you that much? Like, you got issues, bro. You're a hater. You're jealous. And when Drake states that this was the first time that anyone lined up for him, he's alluding to just how small the venues were that Kendrick performed at, and the fact that his name was never on the flyer, and on Drake's tour, he actually was on the flyer. No matter how you spin it, it was a whole different ball game when they went on tour with Drake. It was. Drake's cosign is a reminder to both ASAP and Kendrick that he really did help them. And while this is a fact, it's not really a hard-hitting angle, as this is already beyond public information. I'd still give Drake a couple points for this angle because it is true, but it's also very predictable.
You been hating hard for a very long time. It feel like Twitter ghost writing your reply.
Drake brings up the fact that many of Kendrick's angles in Euphoria and 616 were already pre-existing narratives that were in circulation about Drake already.
Yep.
At the end of the day, Kendrick didn't reveal anything new about Drake on those tracks. Most of the narratives were already unhatched by either the public or other people that dissed Drake in the past.
That's how you felt in 2011 while we wasting time. Dreams come true, Crody. This is where you die.
All right, so on Kendrick's original Buried Alive track, from Drake's perspective, he tells Kendrick to accept the fame and states that Kendrick should bury himself in money, power, pussy, and fame. It's here where Kendrick left fans wondering, would he fall victim to these temptations, or would he have the willpower to avoid it?
So dig a shovel full of money, full of power, full of pussy, full of fame, and bury yourself alive. Then I died.
So it's on Family Matters where Drake will craft a narrative that Kendrick was not only someone that clearly lost this fight, but as someone that secretly lived a life not all that different from Drake's, as this is truly what he always wanted. With a history of infidelity, messing with groupies, and a self-proclaimed sex addiction, Kendrick did indeed get buried by the temptations of the industry, and it's here where Drake sets his funeral.
Dreams come true, Crody. This is where you die.
So this Buried Alive track got totally overlooked. I don't even think anyone covered it on YouTube or broke it down.
Damn, you're right. I don't think I touched it either. I listened to it and was like hype. But I don't think I took it to like, oh, I played it. We was bugging about it, but you're right. You're right. Damn, that's crazy. I didn't. Damn. I dropped the ball on that one. He could have referenced me right here. Dang.
But he is saying a lot here, and he does come with some pretty good angles, so I felt like I had to cover it. And by the way, if you're wondering what I'm wearing, this is my merch. My first run ever. I put a lot of thought into this design. It completely captures the whole moment of the beef. This thing is in every sense of the word a true conversation piece. I incorporated elements of all the diss tracks into this dope looking comic book cover. You can see how the push-ups track is physically a shoebox. The items from Meet the Grams are physically on the desk. We also got the actual glove from 616 chilling on the wall here. Euphoria and The Heart Part 6 are shown on my computer screens. The big records, Family Matters and Not Like Us, are posters on the wall. We got a little owl chilling on the mic here. Kendrick's Crown of Thorns is resting on the chair. I'm hyped on it. I'm really happy with how it turned out. I went through 8 different vendors in the process of finding the right materials for this clothing. I tested each shirt out. I washed them, dried them. Basically, I made sure that these products would definitely hold up. I've been getting a ton of feedback on the quality already. They're really heavyweight. There's nothing cheap about it. I wanted my first merch drop to be a reflection of what I do on the channel. Hence why the setting of the comic is designed based on my actual computer setup. It's a really good way to support me, but you're...
Yo, what does he do when Kendrick and Drake ain't beefing, though? Like, what was he doing before this year? Or is this just his pop-off year and now he's here with us now?
Also gonna get this really dope, one-of-a-kind shirt that I guarantee is gonna spark debate. Like, people are gonna be... This thing is gonna cause arguments, right? And you can put it up on your wall if you want to. A lot of people are doing that. I got t-shirts, crew necks, hoodies, a bunch of different colors, shipping worldwide. All you gotta do is head over to whatsthedirt.net to scoop one. Once again, that's whatsthedirt.net, and I appreciate you guys more than you know. And now we finally get into the big fish, Family Matters, and when Drake finally dropped this record, he included the caption, "Stop trying to piece together what I know and go pick up the pieces of your broken home." And we'll hear more about this later. Now, unlike what people believe, Kendrick is not the only artist that can get busy when it comes to numbers and dates. Drake did an insane move with how he rolled out the back-to-back track against Meek. That whole setup was absolutely wild. And he suddenly does this again as he released the record on May 3rd, which, as you'll see later in this track, is a significant date, as this was when Kendrick performed at the Hard Rock Cafe, and this is when he allegedly put hands on Whitney, which is a large part of a premise of a track called Family Matters. Speaking of the title, let's look at this next, as it does hold significant meaning and acts as Drake's main angle as we move further into the track. And we're gonna get there. Now, at a surface level, the words Family Matters could be viewed as, one, family matters, meaning family is important, or two, there's family issues at play, and in a legal sense, family matters usually pertains to proceedings for things like divorce, child custody, or domestic violence. And in this track, there's pretty much elements of all that. And of course, as you guys know, Kendrick often explores themes of family, loyalty, and social issues in his music, and this is an angle that Drake will later exploit. A large part of Drake's angle on this track is to paint Kendrick as a hypocrite. That is his goal. The title is also a reference to the popular 90s sitcom Family Matters, set in Chicago, where Kendrick's family is from. His parents grew up on the south side of Chicago.
No, stop. Stop. Shit got deep. It got deep. Listen, man. We've been playing around. We just, going through little things. It just got deep. It just got crazy. Wait, Family Matters is set in Chicago. Your family from Chicago. What? That's crazy. This is crazy. This is starting to get a little wild. This is getting spooky.
His father involved with the Gangster Disciples. They would later move to Compton, where Kendrick was born and raised, amid gang life. Now, while some of his uncles were gang members, Kendrick was only loosely affiliated, never fully involved. Drake uses the Family Matters reference to liken Kendrick to Steve Urkel, the nerdy neighbor who wasn't part of the family, but was always around. And this is a narrative we've heard from Drake throughout the whole beef, right? You're not that guy. You're not snatching any chains. You're a sweetheart. You're soft. Now, the artwork is essentially a carbon copy of the design for the Family Matters show, with the only difference being that the show had Chicago in the background and Drake used an LA skyline. I even found the original image that Drake used. Basically, it's just an Adobe stock image that he purchased for $105 Canadian. Not the most original cover, but the concept is there. Now that we looked at the title and the artwork, let's take a look at the beat selection. Structurally, this track is composed of 3 different beats, with 6 producers being credited, which is not a coincidence, as Drake is meeting Kendrick's demands from the Like That record.
Sneak this in first person shooter. I hope they came with 3 switches.
And that's exactly what Drake did. This track does have 3 beats, 3 switches. The first beat, I could say with 100% certainty, was produced by Tay Keith, Drama Kid, and Preem, as I found this info on Drama Kid's Instagram. I also confirmed that the second beat was produced by Kevin Mitchell, as I sourced this info from his Twitter account. And quite a few of these producers aren't big names. Like, no one even mentioned these guys, even though they're a part of, like, this massive moment. So I left their socials in the description.
Yo, salute.
Give them a follow. Now, from what I could tell, the only track that had samples was the third beat, which is a sample called Conclusions by Grodek Whipperjenny.
Hard.
Grodek Whipperjenny was a band out of the 70s with 2 main members being James.
Bro, that sample so tough. That was hard. Like, that was hard. That's hip hop right there. That's hard. We found, like, who the fuck listening to Grover Whipper? What his name is? Like, who listening to that? He went back in. I like that. Went back in the crates.
Grodek Whipperjenny was a band out of the 70s with 2 main members being James Brown and Dave Matthews.
Oh, okay.
I listened to a bunch of their stuff and it's all honestly phenomenal. I learned that David Matthews in particular has been sampled in hip-hop a bunch of times before. From what I could tell, Drake's beat selection doesn't really have any big hidden meanings or anything, not that I could find. So right off rip, Drake goes beyond just giving us the audio for this track as we get a full-on music video with it. Now, what you'll notice is the thumbnail on YouTube is different from the DSP artwork, as what we see is a 1996 Plymouth Voyager about to get crushed. And we will talk more about this van later in the video. To start off visually, Drake begins by spinning a G-Unit chain.
Good kid, Mad City van. I'll park the whip and let the door slide. Yeah, that's the Kendrick van, right? That's the Kendrick van, and the G-Unit chain is FUBU, right? That's the FUBU thing?
In the video. To start off visually, Drake begins by spinning a G-Unit chain, really supporting his claims from push-ups.
Okay.
The G-Unit chain is definitely symbolic, as it more or less acted as the mascot for G-Unit, and 50 was known for beefing with multiple opponents, being extremely ruthless and petty. Now, many people assume that 50 gave this chain to Drake, but this is completely false, as Drake had this chain custom made by Johnny Dang.
As you mentioned my seed and I deal with his dad, I gotta go bad, I gotta go bad.
Which really tells me that Drake had all this set up and planned, likely even before the push-ups track dropped, as you'll see him execute specific things in this video that didn't happen overnight. This took some time to put together. There's no doubt that a lot of effort went into this. I mean, buying the chain, getting it made, buying the van, all that stuff took time. Now, as far as Drake's relationship with 50, they both seem to have a mutual respect for one another, and they even took a bunch of photos together after the beef. So even though Drake made the chain himself, he more than likely had 50's blessing, right? He probably okayed it. And in the very first few seconds of the video, there's another layer of symbolism. If you look closely, Drake is wearing a FUBU shirt and flashes the middle finger, which is clearly a bold response to Kendrick's shots on Euphoria. And I was able to find the exact design that he was wearing, and it's like 90s vintage FUBU. So he's really saying fuck you.
Well, FUBU never had been your collection.
Drake starts off the track with a direct rebuttal to Kendrick's claims on Euphoria when Kendrick clowned him for his use of the N-word.
We don't wanna hear you say nigga no more.
Drake strategically trolls Kendrick by getting his own mother to start off the track, requesting that Drake not use the word.
Maybe in this song, you shouldn't start by saying,
Nigga, I said it, I know that you mad.
It's pretty clever because his mother probably doesn't approve of him using this word either. She probably asked him many times over the years not to use it, but she ultimately couldn't do anything about it because Drake is half black, the other side of his family uses it, so she had really zero say in the matter. So he's pretty much saying, like, my own mom couldn't stop me. You're definitely not going to. And what's also really clever here is that Drake is 37 years old, and he says the N-word 37 times on this track. And I believe his reasons for doing this is he's basically saying the word for every year that he's been alive to symbolize that he was indeed born black. And look, I know this is all about culture and not really about race. But no matter how you spin it, a lot of the themes that Kendrick uses in his own music, Drake's family also went through, and that is his heritage. I went through his dad's entire genealogy. His family's from the deep south, right? They were indeed enslaved. They really had it bad. And you can't remove that blood from Drake. So a lot of the things that Kendrick talks about is also Drake's heritage, and you can't take that away. Now let's finally get into the bars, and what you'll notice here is that Drake includes the lyrics for the entire song with the video. So he doesn't want to get anything misconstrued. Like, here's the lyrics, here's what I mean, it's all right there for you guys.
I've emptied the clip over friendlier jabs. You mentioned my seed and I deal with his dad. I gotta go bad, I gotta go bad.
In the first line, Drake claims that he's emptied the clip over friendlier jabs, which to me could only be one beef, and that was his back and forth with Meek Mill. Now, I don't feel like Meek going online and putting Drake on blast for having ghostwriters was really a friendly jab. In the second line, Drake directly responds to Kendrick's lines on Euphoria about his son Adonis, where Kendrick accused him of not instilling the same family values and more or less painted Drake as a deadbeat dad.
That's whole shit. I got a son to raise, but I can see you don't know nothing about that.
So in the last line, Drake says, I gotta go bad, which could be in reference to two things. First, and the most obvious, Drake's about to snap, he's about to black out and take things to a whole other level. Secondly, due to the Drake and Michael Jackson comparisons, Drake could be making a reference to MJ's 1987 hit Bad, where the theme of the record is essentially how Mike is a good guy, but he's now turning bad to fight against people that belittled and disrespected him. And it kind of reminded me of the feature that he did with Meek, that Going Bad feature.
Still going bad on you anyway.
Drake then picks right back up from where he left off with push-ups.
Yeah, drop.
Now, the moment he breaks into this melody, a shot is shown of a van resembling Kendrick's childhood van, famously covered on Good Kid, Mad City, being towed in Toronto with a clear image of the CN Tower in frame. Now, many people seem to believe that Drake physically somehow purchased Kendrick's family van, but this is simply not the case. As you can see, these vans are similar, but Kendrick's family van is a 96 Dodge Caravan, whereas the van in the video is a 96 Plymouth Voyager. You could see the trim's different, the rims are different, it's just not the same van. And in the beginning, I was really surprised with Drake's lack of detail because finding the exact same model would have been a way better flex, but I literally scoured the internet myself to try to find the same van to purchase, and it was pretty much impossible. I think Drake just found the closest thing that he could, which was the Voyager, and it served its purpose for the video. Drake contracted a company by the name of Charisma Auto to transport this van, and I even dug up this company's TikTok account where they proudly announced their involvement.
Yeah, drop.
And as you could see, even the transport company itself clearly labels this van as a Voyager and not a Caravan. That is straight from the transport company, and they got to document the make and the model and all that shit. What's interesting about Charisma Auto is they only transport very high-end luxury exotic vehicles, and as you can see, Drake definitely has a rapport with this company, as they delivered at least 4 vehicles that I could find to him in the past. It's funny that Drake used this very high-end transport company. Like, I guarantee that van was like the shittiest thing that's ever been on that flatbed.
Yeah, drop.
So I actually did not cover these lyrics in my push-ups breakdown because I had a really good feeling that this would resurface in an upcoming track. And because I didn't cover it there, let's cover it now. Drake starts off begging Kendrick to drop, and you gotta keep in mind, this was recorded before we heard Euphoria or 616. It was at this point where Drake showed a lot of confidence in the information that he had, and he seemed to think that Kendrick wouldn't have much to say. He's pretty much saying, drop. I dare you to fucking drop. Do it.
Drop a 50 bag for the mob in a spot. Drop a 50 bag, 29 for the thought.
Drake takes it all the way to Houston, which is where his mob ties with the Prince family resides. He makes a reference to a Houston strip club called Area 29, which is not only a place that he frequents, but an establishment that he seemingly blesses with hundreds of thousands of dollars every time he's there. And on the same day that the Push-Ups track dropped, the owner of Area 29's Instagram account posted this video with the caption, Push-Ups. They were probably really hyped to get mentioned in that record, and Drake's mentioned these guys before.
I was really trying to keep it PG.
Drake claims that he was really trying to keep things PG, which is obviously an acronym for parental guidance in film, but it also acts as a double entendre as he's making a reference to Kendrick's record label, PG Lang. Basically, Drake is saying that he really wanted to keep this record aimed at Kendrick only, but because all these artists dogpiled on top of him, he's forced now to deal with them too. He's saying he wanted to keep this PG, right? He wanted to keep this to just Kendrick, but now he's firing on everyone.
If you had a set, they give your ass a DP. You civilian gang in real life, you PC.
Now, the first thing I notice here is that for all the effort that went into making this video, Drake has the wrong lyrics on the screen. On the video, it's clearly written as "2 civilian getting real like you PC."
You civilian gang in real life, you PC.
But hey, I'm probably the last person to cast judgment because you guys tell me in the comments every video of the spelling errors that I make. Now, some people seem to think that these lines were directed at Rick Ross, but this is 100% a shot at Kendrick. Drake claims that if Kendrick really had a set, meaning if he was really a gang member, they would give him a DP to knock his ass back in line. Now, a DP is synonymous in gang culture, and it's...
But what if he talking about both? Because like you said, on the screen, 2 civilian gang in real life UPC. Well, if you talking about Kendrick and Rick Ross, both of y'all civilians in real life. And then PC, like, all right, so boom, Rick Ross used to be a cop. So, you know what I'm saying? You would be in PC. So I don't know. But you the expert, so do your thing, what's the dirt? But I'm just saying that's what I heard when you said that. I never thought about that.
Set, meaning if he was really a gang member, they would give him a DP to knock his ass back in line. Now, a DP is synonymous in gang culture, and it's basically a form of disciplinary action. If a member gets out of line, misrepresents the gang, or puts the gang in harm's way, they're going to get the beats. And if you don't think Kendrick was acting a little bit hard or flexing some gang shit in his beef, just look at what he was saying.
If he walk around with that stick, it ain't Andre 3K. Think I won't drop the location.
He's talking about the strap.
That's a K with all these nines. He gon' see Pet Cemetery.
More gun talk.
Extortion, my middle name as soon as you jump off of that plane, bitch.
I mean, he's pretty much claiming that when Drake touches down, he's got to check in.
Blick niggas all in the coffin.
Again with the blicky.
Someone gon' bleed in your family, Crody.
Someone is going to bleed in your family.
Eating fried rice with a dip sauce and a blammy, Crody.
Now he's talking about the blammy. And although Kendrick claims to be a civilian himself, he doesn't play his hand as a civilian on these tracks. And Drake is pointing out that Kendrick is really a sweetheart, and all this tough talk is an act. He refers to Kendrick as being a PC, which in prison stands for protective custody. This is where the most vulnerable inmates go, which often includes non-gang members to help protect them. Drake is basically saying that Kendrick isn't that guy, he never was that guy, and he's very far removed from anything remotely close to gang life. Which is really a fact. I mean, Kendrick is not out here in the trenches. Let's just be real.
You know who really bang except my nigga YG.
So Drake makes a critical mistake here. He references YG as being a friend of his who is a full-on blood. I guess Drake really put a lot of stock into what he thought could have been their friendship, but YG is from the West Coast, a place that Drake mocked on Taylor Made. And it was only 20 days later where YG dropped the track that to me is a very obvious diss to Drake.
Weird ass nigga in your feelings about these bitches. Weird ass niggas off that perk, you be tripping.
So right off rip, you'll notice that YG also uses lyrics on the screen, which is unusual, as he's clearly mocking Drake's Family Matters video. Furthermore, he uses words like "in your feelings," which is a reference to Drake's big hit.
When the smoke, don't ever mention my name. You gon' have me jeopardizing my fame, jeopardizing the game, jeopardizing what you hate, nigga.
And as you could see here, he's clearly not happy about Drake mentioning his name in Family Matters. And even if they are friends, which it looks like they aren't, roping YG into this thing was very miscalculated. And YG claimed this wasn't about Drake. That is a lie. This is clearly about Drake. The whole record has shots. It's about Drake. In a war like this, you can't set yourself up for things to backfire on you like this. The optics did not look good at all when we saw YG was front and center at Kendrick's pop-out show. Now, I highly doubt YG will ever get any more features from Drake, so hopefully that was worth it for him. We'll see in time.
You know who really bang except my nigga Chuck T.
Next, Drake makes reference to the Game, who actually has a relationship with both of these guys. Now, I gotta be honest, a lot of people gave the Game flack for not showing up at the pop-out show, but I personally respect what the Game did here. Much like many artists, Drake has done a lot for the Game, and he's one of very few that really showed some loyalty here. I don't think it was necessary for him to turn on Drake. He stayed neutral throughout the entire beef, and hopefully Kendrick also understood.
You siding with this nigga and that nigga. When the fuck y'all heard me say a motherfucking thing about who I'm siding with or this and that, nigga? I'll be in my own lane chilling, nigga. Taking care of my kids out the fucking way, nigga. That's how I made it this far in this fucking game.
You know who even bang a set out there is CB.
Drake then makes a reference to Chris Brown, and many might think this is a gimmick, but Chris really is a full-on Fruittown Pyru, and this is a really great little dig, because Chris Brown is an R&B singer from Virginia, but unlike Kendrick, a Compton native who was only an affiliate, Chris is a full-on gang member. Drake is saying, like, you're so soft that even this R&B guy is harder than you. He's an actual gang member. And when it comes to Chris Brown, although he did have a heated beef with Drake that eventually got squashed, I believe he's also a neutral party in this beef. We got a video of Chris Brown bopping around in the club to Not Like Us. But let's be real, like, Not Like Us, it's a banger. Like, it's hard not to bop your head to it. It's pretty much impossible. And then it was just days later, he was singing Drake on stage. And a lot of people seem to forget this, but Chris Brown did sort of pay homage to Drake on his diss to Quavo.
I ran your ass through the ringer, nigga. You just got bodied by a singing nigga.
So by Drake mentioning all three of these guys, he clearly thought that this was something he could lean on. He definitely felt like they were in his corner.
Nigga Cole losing sleep on this, it ain't me.
Unlike J. Cole, who apologized for his diss and said he was losing sleep over it, Drake does not have this issue. And no matter how you want to slice this, Drake is indeed slighting J. Cole with this line.
Yeah.
Cole losing sleep on this, it ain't me. I do like that line. Now, as far as the visuals go for the video, we finally get to see the van being delivered to a crusher, and we could see a loader in the distance making its way through the scrapyard with the van.
You better have some paperwork or that shit fake tea. Can't be rapping about no ratting that we can't read.
So this is a very surface level response to Kendrick's claims on Euphoria, where he compared Drake to Gunna for being a rat.
I know some shit about niggas that make Gunna wanna look like a saint.
However, in hindsight, you'll notice later in this track that Drake accuses Kendrick of certain actions that would also require documentation to really substantiate. Now, these guys are both guilty of this. They're both throwing accusations, allegations, whatever you want to call it, at each other with zero proof, zero paperwork, nothing.
I mean, it's true, a nigga slimy for my AP.
So let's finally put this thing to rest. Drake was robbed at gunpoint back in 2010 after leaving a restaurant with a woman by the name of Chantel Brown. They stole a chain which was gifted from Wayne, an AP watch, and $2,000. The thieves quickly got caught by police because they were going down the wrong way of a one-way street. How the police got the information to identify these men is unclear, but the two suspects were identified as Socrates Carell and Paul Letou. The charges were later dropped, and the
Socrates, it's wild. Like, yo, Socrates is crazy in the 2000s. Socrates. So like, they call the police. Like, when you get robbed for something Wayne gave you, you gotta die for that. It's like, nah, don't die, Drake.
two men pleaded guilty to a lesser charge. Now, shortly after these charges were laid, some paperwork did leak, and I'm not 1090 Jake, but as it's written here, there's nothing indicating that Drake spoke to authorities. And just so you know, in Canada, I don't know what it's like anywhere else, but you don't have a choice. Like the cops, police, they lay the charge. You could even tell them, no, I don't want to cooperate. I don't want to press charges. Don't matter. The police are the ones who make the call. So in my very honest opinion, it's highly likely that Drake refused to cooperate, which caused the prosecution's case to be very weak. It's for this reason that the Crown was forced to accept a plea deal where the suspects pleaded to a lesser charge. I'm going to say there's a 95% chance that that is what happened.
And I made the decision to not put those guys away, to not go to trial, you know, despite whatever. And I don't know what anybody else is talking about, but it's public record in Canada. You can see I wasn't there. I was in Miami. I wasn't at the trial.
So it seems like Drake even tried to be out of the country just so he didn't have to deal with this. And I know people were saying that Drake was corny for taking lyrics from Kendrick's Mr. Morale and using it against him, but Kendrick is essentially doing the same with this very public info, as Drake has mentioned this robbery on several tracks himself.
Maybe it was the fast-paced switch up or the 2 guns in my face during the stick up.
And Drake makes it clear that the girl that he was with set him up.
Maybe cause a girl I thought I trusted was who set the whole shit up.
And he mentioned it again on From Florida with Love.
Easy play that shit for me and Kobe on the bus. When it got a chain from me, I had to give it up.
So he's talked about losing the chain from Wayne.
Niggas had they pistols loaded, pointed in my truck.
He then goes on to say that he's learned from this and that it hasn't happened since.
On that day I never touched a road without a plug. Hasn't happened since, I guess you niggas know what's up.
As far as Chantel, Socrates, and Paul, I can't find any information about these suspects. I don't know if they're dead. I don't know if they changed their names. There is nothing on these people.
Just like how Metro niggas slime for his main squeeze.
Drake gets really petty here, making the claim that Metro Boomin's girlfriend, who goes by the name of Chelsea Cotton, slept with one of his close friends. Now, Metro was quick to take to Instagram in an attempt to debunk these claims, saying, "Nobody ever hit my girl. We grew up together. She's a real woman, and she's not even in the industry." Now, the friend that I think he could be talking about that slept with her is Future. In the line, Drake is really messing with Metro's head as he ensures to make use of the word slime, and it was just 2 months prior that Metro and Future released a song called Slimed In. Now, this of course could really be a reach, but it is possible that Drake is making a reference to Future sleeping with Metro's girl. And it could be directed at anyone close to Metro, but I felt like the Future thing is the only compelling thing that I could find.
Bro, I never put 2 and 2 together for the Future part. I never even thought about that. I never even thought, like, yo, who he talking about? That was a question I never asked. Like, yo, who was he talking about when he said that? Oh, snap, Future. Oh, he's trying to build a wedge between y'all two. That's kind of crazy, though.
As far as the visuals go, it's at this point where the loader heads towards the van and positions the forks to begin the lift.
Out here begging for attention, niggas say please.
It's with this line where Drake circles back to exactly what he's been saying for a very long time. After the Control verse, Drake claimed multiple times that Kendrick was doing these kinds of things to get attention.
Like being the talk of Twitter for like 5 days, you know.
But you seem... Drake is pretty much saying, okay, little bro, I know you don't got no motion right now. I know you're cold as ice. Your last album didn't do well. You're looking for some attention. If you say please, maybe I'll give it to you. And again, J. Cole said the exact same thing.
If he wasn't dissing, then we wouldn't be discussing her.
They're basically saying it's only you that does these little stunts for attention, and they don't respect it.
Always rapping like you about to get the slaves freed. You just acting like an activist is make-believe.
Drake claims that Kendrick's whole entire persona is one massive grift, and he's had similar subliminal shots towards Kendrick that I showed you guys in a video 8 months ago.
Fake woke niggas, fake beats. You ain't no favor for me. Gave your ass a little sneak peek, yeah.
Now, the first line did not sit well with a lot of people, and coming off Kendrick's claims on Euphoria about how Drake is disconnected from the culture, this line seemingly supported Kendrick's narrative. However, I don't feel like Drake is saying anything disrespectful about the conscious hip-hop that Kendrick does. What he's really doing here is saying that Kendrick is fake. When you look at these two lines in conjunction, I honestly don't think Drake is downplaying slavery here at all. What Drake really means by this is that the subject matter of Kendrick's music is all for show and that he's a grifter. And
thank you. Oh my gosh, somebody give this man a Grammy or something. Give him something. Damn, I'm so tired of fighting people in the damn comments about this whole slavery thing. And I'm sitting here actually talking to y'all, telling y'all, look, he didn't say nothing wrong. Like, I'm from the South. I know, like, listen, if something is like racist adjacent, it kind of hit my radar. Like, yo, No, he was saying that this dude is rapping a certain way, like he's doing something, but he's not doing anything. If he cared about the stuff he cared about, he would be moving completely different. That is point blank, period. That's it. I've been saying that the whole time. If Kendrick don't like what's going on in the industry, instead of talking trash about other people in the industry, which sheds light on them as well as yourself, it's like a mutual benefit. It's mutual destruction. Both of you guys are gonna get some light, even though it make both of you guys look bad. Instead of doing that, build up people around yourself. Talk to the Lecrae's. Do a song with Lecrae. Do a song with D1. That was the biggest thing he did so far to me, was actually shouting them out and giving them a little bit of light. Do a song with them. Link up with Rhapsody. Call Coach Contra and do songs with Contra. Link up with the Hoodies. Like, it's other people that rap and actually have the type of hip hop that you say you care about or whatever, but you're not doing anything to better them. You're just more so like, let me go out here and I'm the number one. That's me. You're not doing songs with Lupe Fiasco. You're not actually out here with Mickey Fax. You're not even, bro, Daylight with you. You're not doing nothing with Daylight. Daylight is the conscious. You're not really bigging none of them up. You are for self, but you act and make it seem like you're doing something amazing. But you're not, bro. But you're not. At least be real with me. Don't lie to me in my face. You know what I'm saying? But that's what I was getting out of this whole time. But I'm so glad for this dude right here, man.
Slavery here at all. What Drake really means by this is that the subject matter of Kendrick's music is all for show and that he's a grifter. And look, it's not my place to tell anyone how they should feel about this line, but I just feel Drake isn't downplaying the message, he's downplaying the messenger. And when those two lines are together, that's his goal, to paint Kendrick as being fake. And J. Cole again shared the exact same sentiments as what Drake had.
Niggas fake, progressive, and woke. I started saying less. I had to stop it. Peeped how they profit off of racial stress.
When you actually take what Drake said and align it with what Cole is saying, these lines are pretty much identical because they both refer to Kendrick as someone that profits off of racial tension, but Cole really drives this home even further in the next two lines.
Some activists got so rich they probably wish we stay oppressed. Studio steppers moving extra on songs fake and rep.
Studio steppers? Mr. Morale and the...
So Cole makes a reference to Kendrick's album Mr. Morale and the Big Steppers and suggests that K-Dot is faking the funk for money, and it's in this first bar where it's even more similar to Drake's line, as they are both saying the exact same thing here. It's fairly apparent that both J. Cole and Drake aren't shooting shots at the subject matter itself, but more at the person who's delivering it, as they see it as a grift. And that's not the last time that J. Cole called Kendrick a fraud.
Your arms might be too short to box with the God who lives his life without the pressures of a constant facade.
So Cole and Drake are saying the exact same thing. This dude is a grifter.
Don't even go back to your hood and plant on money trees.
Drake makes a direct reference to Kendrick's big hit Money Trees and claims that he doesn't go back to his neighborhood to spread the wealth.
Money Trees is the perfect place for shade, and that's just how I feel.
Now, I think everyone knows that Kendrick has a long history of giving back to Compton and LA in general. I could make a whole other video about this, and maybe sometime I will. But let's just say that he's given back hundreds of thousands of dollars, maybe even millions. He's definitely amazing with charity, but there's more to it than just that. Planting money trees isn't just about donating to charities for a potential tax break. What I think Drake really means here is he's talking about things like, what businesses has Kendrick created in his community? Based on my research, he owns PG Lang, and that's pretty much it. So Drake makes a pretty solid point here. If you want to talk about giving back to people on the West, look no further than what the late, great Nipsey Hussle did. Nip created multiple businesses, truly growing money trees on his home soil. This is one of the best investments that you could do for your community, as it not only provides goods and services for the people, but it creates job opportunities. This man had restaurants, barbershops, full-on education programs for kids of color, affordable housing. He was trying to work with police to help with gang violence. Nipsey was planting money trees left, right, and center, and he even planned to roll out some of these programs in other states in America. And then there's another layer of planting money trees. The question needs to be asked, what has Kendrick done for West Coast rappers? What is he doing to put money into the pockets of LA artists? What is he doing to find the next Kendrick Lamar? The answer is
nothing.
Not as much as you would expect.
Nothing.
Excluding features that he's done with his label mates on TDE, which really shouldn't count, Kendrick's discography isn't exactly the definition of promoting West Coast artists. There's a lot of budding MCs coming out of LA right now, and not only has Kendrick not planted any money trees for them, he's hardly even planted a seed. It's the small things like this that Kendrick Lamar lacks, and Drake makes a very good point. One could even argue that Kendrick's strategy with his pop-out show was a way to address narratives like this one. Again, if we're talking West Coast, look at Nipsey. Look at Nip. Look, when you're a multimillionaire, throwing money at charities is not all that difficult when there's real groundwork that needs to be laid, and Nip had his footprints all over it as he was really doing everything in his power for his community. See, like I said before, a big part of Drake's strategy with this record is to paint Kendrick as a hypocrite. As far as the visuals, at this point, the van has been completely removed from the back of the trailer and is sitting on the forks of the loader. Now, I can't speculate what that man does behind the scenes. Kendrick could be doing a lot. I'm just giving theories to what I think Drake could be talking about, and he's more or less just calling him a grifter. He's saying Kendrick's music and the message within it, as powerful as it is, it seems to stop there. There's no follow-up, there's no real action. You're just profiting off this, you're not really doing the groundwork. That's what I get from it. And look, without music, I probably wouldn't even be here. So I'm the last guy that's going to downplay the power that music has to influence people and influence change. It's a very powerful tool.
Say you hate the girls I fuck, but what you really mean?
It's here where Drake begins to rebuttal Kendrick's comments on Euphoria.
He hate the bitches you fuck cause they confuse themselves with real women.
And next we get a pretty crazy flip.
I've been with black and white and everything that's in between.
Drake comes through with the facts, as he does have a wide range of past women from every ethnicity. It's here where Drake begins to frame his angle as Kendrick really being envious of the life that Drake so freely lives. He begins to portray that Kendrick's issue isn't with the women Drake is involved with, but more about the fact that he can't openly engage in the same behavior himself.
You the black messiah wifing up a mixed queen.
Drake points out that the guy who is seemingly very pro-black has wifed up a mixed woman. Now, certain people are against race mixing and they've got their own reasons. It's not something that I subscribe to. To me, love is love, and I believe Kendrick has a similar stance. And the facts are, there simply isn't any supporting lyrics or public statements from Kendrick that's opposed to race mixing. This angle would have been great if Kendrick was out here acting like Dr. Umar, but that's just not the case.
But he kind of is, like, in his own special music way, he is kind of acting like Dr. Umar. So that's kind of where he's coming from with that. It's not spot on, but in the group of everybody, he's preach. When you put him beside everybody else, you put Future, you just bring everybody in the whole place. You put The Weeknd, Future, Drake, Kendrick Lamar, YG, Chris Brown. He's preach. He's Dr. Umar. That's how that is. It's just in comparison when you put everybody beside each other.
In fact, I see it as the opposite.
Hit vanilla cream to help out with your self-esteem.
Now this one is good. Drake uses Kendrick's own words against him as he admitted to sleeping with white women himself.
The first time I fucked a white bitch, I was 16 at the Palisades.
He didn't stop there, except this time he admits to cheating on Whitney with a white chick.
Next time I fucked a white bitch was out in Copenhagen. Good kid, Mad City tour. I flourished on them stages.
And for those that want to say that he wasn't with Whitney at this time, that may be possible, but it was just over a year later where, again, he hides behind this high school sweetheart fairy tale.
But Kendrick has his longtime girlfriend that he's been with since the beginning, right, Kendrick?
Yeah, man. Yeah.
So he's don't have to worry about that.
Damn, he know all your business. Damn, he got it.
That's the one you ride out with.
And nobody can hit it.
So in this interview, like many others, he's claiming that he's been Whitneyed his whole time. And we're going to get into a lot of those inconsistencies very soon. And of course...
All right, hold on. I'm going to take a break right there. I'm going to have to go back and, go get some of the clips. But this is a long-ass video. I told you I wasn't doing the full video right now, so it's like an hour in. We'll do the rest of it on another, you know what I mean? But I'm going to go ahead and get this out. Y'all can watch the first half. Like, share, subscribe. Y'all give me some feedback. You know what I'm saying? How y'all feel about this? This is very interesting to me to see, this get broken down. Because, some of that stuff I didn't know. A lot of it is it's confirming. It's kind of what I was thinking, but some of the stuff is dang, I didn't really even go that route in my mind to even, that future of Metro Boomin, I didn't even go there. But yeah, that's dope. Anyway, y'all, like, share, subscribe, notification bell. We back on another one. Peace.